Welcome to Rathalos Watch. Today I'm going to be rating the visual design of Quematrice from Monster Hunter Wilds based on a 10-point scaling system that's divided into 5 different categories. The 5 categories are Realism, Fantasy, Color Scheme, Originality, and Silhouette. Once each category has been rated, I'll combine all 5 scores to determine the final score for the monster's visual design. Without further ado, let's begin. Realism. Quematrice is based on an oversized rooster, or more accurately on a mythological creature known as the Cockatrice. Hence the name Quematrice. Quema means burning in Spanish, while trice forms the last 5 letters of Cockatrice. Despite this monster being rooted in mythology, the Cockatrice itself is inspired by a real animal, namely the rooster. The resemblance is evident, particularly in the rooster's comb and its typical red coloration. For the most part, I'd say it's a fairly grounded monster that is believable. Roosters exist in both small and large sizes, though obviously not to this extent. Have you ever heard of the Dong Tao chicken? This is what they look like. I'm not an expert on what they feed them to grow them this large or give them such a unique appearance, but they're considered a delicacy in Vietnam. Historically, they were bred exclusively for the royal family and mandarins. Males can reach up to 6 kilograms in weight, which is roughly 12 pounds. Just look at their feet. Those things are enormous. Some people even refer to them as dragon chickens. Lastly, the Quematrice may also use fire to set things ablaze. All things considered, I'd say this is a believable monster that incorporates many realistic elements into a single entity. The case for Quematrice is similar to that of a Lalavarina. Both are based on real-world creatures, one a giant spider and the other a giant rooster. However, there's a much higher likelihood of large birds existing than giant spiders, so I have to give Quematrice a slightly larger higher score in the realism department. The realism category will be getting a rating of 8 out of 10. Fantasy. The concept of Quematrice is fairly straightforward. You're battling a gigantic chicken whose most distinctive feature is the flammable oil it releases from its tail. When this oil is struck, it ignites, setting both the surroundings and any nearby targets ablaze. In the video, we see it setting the grass on fire by whipping its tail around. I am going to assume that the water element will be its primary weakness. Quematrice is found in the Windward Plains, so it's clear that it's not the apex predator or anything of that sort. However, it's uncertain whether it will also appear in other locations like the Scarlet Forest. For example, Doshiguma may also show up in the Scarlet Forest, even though Windward Plains is its main habitat. According to Quematrice's official description, they can be seen fighting with other smaller carnivores over carrion, which is the decaying flesh of dead animals. So it's likely we'll see Quematrice clashing with Talos and possibly Gaijos as far as the smaller monsters are concerned. One thing that really bothers me about Quematrice is that it's officially classified as a Brute Wyvern on the Monster Hunter Wilds official website. How does a creature that clearly resembles a rooster, which is a bird, qualify as a Brute Wyvern? I don't understand Capcom's logic here. Maybe someone else can explain it. Let me know in the comments. Lastly, some people have speculated that Quematrice is the new Anjanath, which also happens to be a Brute Wyvern. Anjanath uses fire as its main combat element, just like Quematrice. In conclusion, I enjoy fighting giant chickens, and I was hoping that they would be something similar to a new type of a big dinosaur looking bird. But at the same time, I feel like they could have made him a bit more interesting. The fantasy category will be getting a rating of 8 out of 10. Color scheme. Quematrice colors are very simple, but you know what? They work really well together. I love the red tips on its tail and the red comb on its head. The dark blue on certain parts of its body also looks fantastic, creating a striking contrast overall. But you know what's the most exciting thing about this monster when it comes to its colors? We finally figured out which armor set it belongs to. This is indeed the bow weapon set. If you remember my big Monster Hunter Wilds monster breakdown video from a few weeks ago, I went over every announced and teased monster. If we take a quick look at the female's helmet again from the bow weapon showcase, we can clearly see the same colors and scales found on Quematrice. In that video, I predicted the armor set belonged to the Snake Wyvern, while some people guessed it was a Bird Wyvern because of the feathers on the male armor. In the end, both sides got trolled by Capcom, and it turns out the armor came from a Brute Wyvern that looks like a rooster. The color scheme category will be getting a rating of 10 out of 10. Originality. So how original is Quematrice? Well, as previously stated, it's just a big chicken with fire powers. I think what Capcom is trying to do here is say that big chickens evolved from T-Rex dinosaurs, which is the reason why they gave him the Brute Wyvern classification. In other words, they are trying to be creative and a little bit silly here. As far as comparing it to previous chicken monsters from Monster Hunter, we already had plenty of bird monsters who utilize fire in combat. Both young Kutku and young Garuga can spit fireballs at hunters at will, so the fire gimmick is not that original. In a nutshell, Quematrice is a T-Rex chicken that likes to reside in the Windward Plains and start fighting over food against other carnivores. I would have to see and experience this in-game to see how it would affect the gameplay, but the ecology aspect is going to be fun to watch. Although I do not believe Quematrice is overly creative, I'm quite happy that Monster Hunter is finally getting its own giant rooster. The Originality category will be getting a rating of 7 out of 10. Silhouette. There are already quite a few Brute Wyverns in Monster Hunter, so Quematrice will face a stiff competition when it comes to making its silhouette stand out. However, when compared to Devil Joe and Brachydios, Quematrice does hold its own. Devil Joe resembles a long large pickle, and its drooling saliva is a dead giveaway. Brachydios has a uniquely shaped tail and face, making it easily distinguishable. Quematrice's most distinctive feature is its tail design. The tail with its feather-like spikes will make it instantly recognizable in silhouette form. The head adorned with a comb also contributes to its unique outline. Overall, I think Quematrice has a distinctive silhouette that's easy to identify. The silhouette category will be getting a rating of 10 out of 10. Final rating. In summary, Quematrice has quite an intriguing visual design. I don't think it will amaze everyone, but sometimes simplicity is key to a good visual design. I like its colors and the armor you can craft from it. Now I'm really curious to see the weapons that come from this monster. The silhouette, as we discussed earlier, is also impressive. Despite being a Brute Wyvern, this is the first large bird-like monster we've seen in Monster Hunter Wilds. I also think it was a smart choice to give Brute Wyvern some elemental abilities beyond just raw strength. In Quematrice's case, it's the fire-igniting tail, and that's a positive addition in my opinion. The final rating for Quematrice's visual design will be receiving a score of 8.6 out of 10. Fellow hunters, what do you think about my Quematrice final visual design rating? Do you believe it is a fair score or not, and why? What would you rate him for visual design? I hope you enjoyed this episode of rating the visual design of X Monster for Monster Hunter Wilds. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit like and subscribe with the notifications turned on. Peace out and have